mono I have is for, the only mono I got is stuff we had to buy for the tarpon tournament, only because we used a conventional and you had to use that's the only thing I got. Yes.
Have you seen any difference between fluorocarbon that you'd spool your whole reel with and the fluorocarbon leader material?
I've never spooled a reel with fluorocarbon.
Because Bass Pro's got a 25-pound fluorocarbon. It's like 200 yards for like $12.
P-line?
Pardon?
P-line?
I'm not sure exactly what
Yeah,
it is.
I
haven't bought
usually,
it in a
that's
while.
actually a coated fluorocarbon.
There's so many different mixes of line anymore. I can't keep up with it. I buy the leader material. I couldn't tell you the difference on it. They just come out with a, God, Berkeley was, Mike was using it. And funny thing, because when I did a show with him last year, where he goes, yeah, they just come out with this stuff. It's like a braided mono mixed together. And he threw, he's like, yeah, this stuff sucks. But they would kick the cameras and say, oh, it's pretty good stuff. But I don't even, it was like a mono and braid mixed, it was weird. I didn't like it. It was kind of silky. There are some braids that I don't like. This is Finn's. This is the wind tamer that I have on these. Works good over here. It's got a pretty good braid. Finn's does make a line called Smooth Cast. And I got a 2,000 yard spool of it, and I emailed them to him. I can't, it's just, it's supposed to cast better. It's like a silky, I don't know what they got mixed in it. I'm not high tech on this stuff, but I don't like it. So, I'm pretty basic on what I throw. When I find something I like, I rarely experiment too much.
That's important. You have to be comfortable with what you're using. If you're not comfortable with it, it's not going to work. That is so important. If you're comfortable with monofilament, by all means, use it. If you're comfortable with a particular leader or a particular lure, by all means, that's the lure you need to use. If you're comfortable. If it's catching fish for you,
At the same token, don't be afraid to try something different, because I learn every day.
he's telling me to try things different.
He's old and hard-headed.
I saw him get a lesson.
Me?
I saw him get a lesson.
When?
The day we leave.
Yes, I did. We did a lead lit. We went out.
Double range.
We went up by Double Branch, and I'm a soft plastic guy. I throw a lot of some Fathom jig stuff, Z-Man. I throw a lot of soft plastics, paddle tails, jerk baits. Air lure stuff works great. I just don't use it a lot. And Lee caught about 50 fish with my 20, and I finally said, "Give me that." And I swapped, and I was whacking fish one after another with it. So, and he was there, and I was trying everything in my bag I had. I mean, I got a bunch of different colors, he's just whacking trout after trout after trout. And I was catching some, but he would lose one on the same retreat and then hook another one and catch it. I'm like, damn, and I'd throw 10 casts to get one. So, always be open-minded on the water with anything, including mackerel. Danny brings a good point. I've had mackerel do get picky. They rarely get picky, but this year it hadn't been a good mackerel year. The trout fishing has not been as good as it was the last 2 years from March on, as far as big trout. I think we'll all test this. Big trout? Because last year in March we were getting 26, 25 inch trout like every day. This year I have not seen that. I know I have personally caught more trout that size in January. So, I think the weather patterns have changed. We had a cold weather.
They got smaller, we're catching smaller now, but our weather's been a month ahead.
Yeah, so in January I was catching in the same area what I caught March last year. I think that goes to the mackerel. We seen the mackerel come in last year early. Oh, it was. You're catching 28, 29 inch mackerel one after another. Huge.
I have a theory why the mackerel were here.
You ate them all.
No, well, last year, you got to remember that.
This is not about the crop circles, is it?
No.
Okay.
Last year we had cold weather. There wasn't a lot of bait offshore. Once those fish came from the south and came up offshore, Tampa Bay, there was nothing out there for them to eat. They started coming up into the bay. I was catching mackerel on pinfish, but you never catch a mackerel on pinfish. I was catching mackerel in the bay on pinfish. This year, a lot of mackerel have been offshore, and there was plenty of bait this year. That bait stayed offshore. So that's my theory.
one thing though, and seriously on this tournament, and I seen Danny doing it, he spoke about it, cut bait, cut thread fins. If they're not biting live bait, just free spool a cut thread fin. Sometimes they're not aggressive, they're not feeding real good, but you just drift that cut bait back and they'll take it. I've seen it a lot.
When he says free spool, a lot of time what you wanna do, current's running.
Don't flip the thing and spin the reel
Yeah,
backwards.
you don't want to, open your spool and let that bait drift, and let it, because it'll drift down. If the current's running, and you close your spool, it's gonna tighten the line, it's gonna bring that piece of cut bait right up to the surface, and it's just gonna pop around up on top. You might get a hit. I like to open the spool.
It's a good way to catch birds though.
Yeah, they fight good too.
Just open it.
When's the
You
bird
know, when you're
tournament,
reeling
man?
something
I'll
in
win
that's
that
30 feet off the water
Yeah.
instead of 30 feet down, it's a whole different game.
I got me a,
That's a keeper.
they got really just take this
Biggest
whole
pellet.
game for catching bait in the sky.
Biggest
man.
wingspan
I
for the
throw
pellet.
my net over a pellet
That's what
shell.
we need.
Did that, they go straight down to the
Yeah.
bottom.
Oh, I didn't go that far.
I let him go to the bottom. I brought him up, I didn't even send him on his way, but he went straight down 20 feet.
Yeah, but on a serious note,
I mean, I'm serious.
Got a whole freezer full of them.
but yeah, just be open-minded on stuff with fishing in general, because I see a lot of people that get, well, this worked before, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. It worked yesterday, but, you know, fish are pretty smart at times, even mackerel, they're one of the, I call them dumb fish at times, because they hit anything, watch them hit bare hooks, but just switch up things, keep your, don't use the same thing over and over, if it's not working for a day, you know, try something
And what
else.
Steve said, and what Dace said, don't be surprised, if you're sitting there chumming, don't be surprised if cobia comes up, or the tarpon comes up. Because that happens more than you would imagine. We caught a nice cobia the other day. We just came right up a chum on it.
Is it the same bait for Kobe as it is for,
Yeah,
Yeah.
cobia's even dumber than mackerel. I think.
No.
You don't think so?
I do. They fight hard, God, they fight. They're
But
best of fun.
these same areas, that's the nice thing about mackerel. A lot of these areas you're fishing, there's bigger fish that are in the same area. Cobia. I hooked I hooked about 100-pound tarpon on that rod Friday, and I was trout and mackerel fishing. And I don't know how I did it. They can make fun of my knots all they want. I got 6 jumps on them with 25-pound test and you break it.
It's because he gave you that horseshoe.
So these same areas, always have you some bigger rods ready. There are some kingfish in the bay, not a whole lot, but I mean, I've caught and seen right next to some kingfish caught. And in the same areas, you're going to be mackerel fishing.
Is it almost like kingfish where the larger mackerel are underneath the smaller mackerel? Or like in kingfish, the larger kingfish are below the smaller kingfish?
I think like any fish, you get 15-inch trout. There's like a lot of them. Occasionally, you got a few big ones. You get 19-inch trout. They're usually the same thing with the mackerel. You catch more like 40% little schooling mackerel. They're usually all around that big. Not to say you're not gonna catch a bigger one, but you know, I think the sizes kind of hang together, so to speak. Think of redfish. You go over, get on a school with redfish. They're all around 30 inches, but you got that one bruiser that's usually 36. That's kind of leading the pack. Snook are a little different. I think there's, you know, they're an ambush feeder. You get, you know, big mama laying up there, and you got all the little ones kind of surrounding her. So the snook are a little different. But I think with the schoolie fish, mackerel, and stuff like that, yeah, you'll get.
Especially later in the summer when they come in. You know, if y'all have ever been out there in the summertime when they're just blasted, it looks like a washing machine on top of the water. Usually, whatever you catch, they're all going to be like cookie cutter sized fish. And that's one time, I was thinking about this a while ago, that's one time that mackerel fishing can be tough because they're eating little fry baits, and sometimes that's all they're going to eat is little fry baits. They're not going to, you can throw the nicest greenback out there or whatever you got, and for whatever reason, sometimes they will not get away from eating one of those little glass minnows or whatever that is that they're after. That's what they want. You'll see them come up and you'll see all those little baits just fly up out of the water. They're too little to put on a hook, or I try to catch some and use them, but that's one time that mackerel are not kind of, I don't know if it's an instinctual thing or whatever. It's not, they're not stupid at that point. They're like, okay, that's not what I'm going to eat because that's the only one in the pack like that swimming by. I don't want him. So I've was thinking about that earlier when you said that. It is a fish that certain times of year, you gotta match the hatch on them.
How did you guys do? You guys ran just off the shoreline. Did you get a lot of mackerel?
I don't know, we caught 6 or 8.
How big?
Big. Yeah, they were big. Some of them were big. They weren't all big, but.
Is there any
No.
orders?
No.
Anyway.
So don't give that spot away, Rick.
We wanted to
I'm
say.
selling the numbers.
Yeah.
I got a good buddy that's gonna give
I
me
haven't seen many big mackerel in the bay. I will say this, I have personally done less mackerel fishing than I have the last few years, for the simple fact that I have seen some increasing numbers on snook and marsh. And I did some more snook fishing than I have the last few years. So, with that being
The
said,
biggest mackerel I've caught this year has been in the upper end of the bay. In the hill area.
really,
The biggest mackerel, yeah.
Where around like this?
Right there on the tip.
this is the tip? Right
The tip.
inside the security.
Right there.
Right there where that
You know where Slaughter's
Some
Pond
of us have ID cards so we can fish those areas.
Right there, you know where Slaughter's Pond is? It's right there on the tip by Slaughter's Pond.
Say no.
Not a clue.
No.
Now, there's some, again, off McDill, there's 4 to 6 foot flats, there's some good, what they call salt pepper bottom, grass and sand bottom. It's all good areas around, Bishops and all that, there's some good bottom out there.
Where I'm talking about, you know the island that kind of sits between Weeden and McDill? I don't know, it used to have one lone palm tree on it.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I'm talking about now? It's just like a sand palm that you see on the low water. Just like you draw a straight line to the skyway, that side of that. It's good hard bottom and they're there.
In that area he's talking about, you got a ship channel and kind of a ship channel, and there's deeper water all around, you got these hills that kind of come up to 5, 6 foot. It's all good mackerel, and there's good water flow. That's what you want, good water flow, and the water kind of comes up to like almost like a deep flat, and there's deeper water around it, so these are all good areas to target. I personally, I would probably run just off the beaches.
Yep.
Find you I mean, if you want to win the tournament, that's when the big mackerel would be, I think, bigger ones. There'll probably be some big ones called the bay, but, I think you have more amount along the wall.
If I was gonna fish a tournament, that is where I would go. I would go on the beaches, but
You got some,
I'm just saying the biggest ones I've caught have been up there. And I don't know why. I mean,
Does it have to be a Spanish
biggest
man?
mackerel in the bay. Yeah, can it be a king? King mac?
Spanish man, leave it to these two guys.
Always looking for a name.
Any more questions?
I'm a first-year winner. The first one we had,
Oh, God.
why I have
Here we
it.
go.
Here we go. How long is it gonna take?
Hey, go ahead and order breakfast now.
Yes.
Now, I asked him about the children's event, because that year he won. My son won the children's side.
Yep.
And it was bigger fish than his.
Did I give him the opportunity? I asked him if he wanted, I said, do you want to be, he was 15, I said, do you want to fish for the adults or do you want to fish in the kids division? He said, oh, the kids division. Thank you, Jesus.
Steve. You remember? What's her
She
name?
fished with me.
Mary
Mary Beth. No, Mary
No.
Beth, no, Mary something.
Mary Lou.
Mary Lou.
Yeah.
Her grandson come in second in the kids division with the bigger mackerel than yours. Look it up. The kids took first and second overall. But yours was good.
Oh.
Any more questions?
Hey, when you're cooking your mac, how do you cook them? Are you just icing them down real quick? Do you bleed them out? What are you doing?
I don't bleed them out. I do put them on ice.
Right?
I kind of got like a little system. I put them in the live well because I don't like hearing them flopping around all in the cooler.
Right.
I put them in the live well for 3-4 minutes. They're dead.
Right.
Shove them straight in the ice. When I clean a mackerel, I'll just tell you how I clean them. Try to tell you how I clean them. I just fillet them. You know, just take. Well, I mean, you just cut them off, and now you got 2 halves with skin on them.
Right.
You cut that, what would be the rib cage off.
Right.
I usually cut about that much off the back because it's got that on the outside. It's got that little fin like that sits sideways. And then I'll take if it's a small mackerel, you can cut him